Hi everyone, welcome to FilmDirt. Let's talk about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I revisited the film last night. This is the first time I'm reviewing a Tarantino film. I do love Tarantino's work. A few of his movies are my favourite of all time, and unfortunately this isn't one of them. But let's talk about it. Firstly, I know everyone's saying that this movie kind of outlines the Charles Manson murders in Hollywood in the 60s. It's kind of just about mentioning them, but it's not an integral part of the film. This film is really just hanging around the film industry, it seems. And it's set in 1969, so we get everything looking good. It's that time period that's very intriguing and interesting to look at. Lots of colour, lots of flamboyant, free characters, lots of mentions of effing hippies. And those two words just go together. Whenever hippies is mentioned, it's always effing hippies. And the two main characters, a fading actor and his stunt double, and they're best of friends, and it doesn't seem like a natural relationship or professional at all. It's obviously two guys that are bringing their friendship to work, and sooner or later, when you have to sever that relationship to be able to move forward, and that's when there could be tensions in the friendship, but it doesn't really cover that at all. That's where I thought the film was going. It would be about people and characters, but it's not really about that at all. Just hanging around film sets and everything that comes with it, and there's not really much story to speak of. It starts to pick up towards the end when we get the murders in progress, and there seems to be something going on with the hippies, appearing again in the movie, and something's happening, and then the film seems to flow. But before that, we're just hanging around studios, and it is interesting. You've got Leonardo DiCaprio's character maybe getting a bit too comfortable in his work, and there's a lot of roles which are all a little bit samey for him, but he's not the best actor, and I should say his character's not the best actor. I think Leonardo is fantastic, and he is in this, but his character messes up lines deliberately, and we kind of see that process. It's good to just watch it happen. Even though there's not much story happening, we're watching him fluff his lines, and the director steps in and informs him what his lines are, and then he has a meltdown in his trailer. And it is all interesting, but for me, I wanted to see a bit more of an overall story, and Tarantino's films had that. And in the downtimes that Tarantino does like to have in his movies, where you've got groups of people chatting, I think these scenes were handled better before this movie, and in a more interesting way. I talk about Pulp Fiction, and those scenes in Inglourious Bastards. It's all interesting, I found. And you've got that tension. But here, everyone's chilling. You've got lots of references to marijuana and hippies and just people just doing nothing. You've got some of the actors here, Leonardo and Brad Pitt's character, just watching a movie they both worked on, and that running commentary. And that's interesting in itself, but it's not a story, it's just interesting to watch, kind of. And then we get the Sharon Tate character, who I thought would be a bigger part of this movie, considering this is loosely about the Charles Manson murders. And she's not really a significant part of this film. I think Margot Robbie is great, but again, we see her watching her own movie in a theatre. She's got in free because she's told the person in the ticket booth and the manager who she is, but they're not quite sure who she is. She has to keep mentioning it, and she's being patronised as well because people don't know who she is, but she just wants to get him free. And I think the manager just goes along with it because, hey, what does he have to lose? So he just lets her in and she's enjoying the film with real paying punters. I'm sure it is a lot easier for any actor or any producer to actually watch a movie in a theatre with real punters rather than just going to a premiere or a closed private function. You don't really get a sense of what the audience are getting. And it's nice to have this feature in this movie. And I think Tarantino's like that. He often comes across as the type that would go and see a film with paying punters and actually be genuinely interested in what the paying public think of his movies. Because I think he's a fan as well. And also, let's cover this time period. 1969, I think, is a love letter to Hollywood. That era that Tarantino is definitely in love with, I feel. His films often show an alternate reality almost. I love that all his movies seem to have flamboyance and interesting characters and lots of colour and unique looks. We've got lots of driving sequences here where the sun's shining and the breeze going through people's hair. We're just driving and enjoying the ride. And I think that's a metaphor for the whole movie. I think we're just enjoying the ride. And then at the end, or towards the end, maybe the last 45 minutes, 40 minutes, we get the murders. And it's a great sequence, and it's a very bloody and dramatic sequence. And it also includes a flamethrower, which is typical Tarantino, in that just a fight isn't enough. We also get lots of individual unique instances of flamethrowers and violence and blood, and it's just an assault on the eyes. And that's the part I like about Tarantino, because you don't expect certain things, but then he delivers. And also there was references to the portrayal of Bruce Lee in this film, where he's kind of made out to be a little bit of a dick. And I've been a fan of Bruce Lee, and I've casually looked into his life over the years and been genuinely interested in the man's career. Since he came from the East to the West to make movies, I've only ever heard that he was a complete professional and a lovely human being. He comes across as with a little bit of an ego in this movie, where he's initiating a fight with Brad Pitt's character, and I don't know, I didn't like to see it. Tarantino did address this, I believe, in an interview, and he did comment that it's kind of just a story, and it's just for the sake of the movie, and I'm kind of with him on that. But this is a known character. We could have had Bruce Lee's stuntman against another stuntman, but it wouldn't have had the same level of weight if it was someone else other than Bruce Lee himself. So let's go along with that. It needed more story throughout to make this film work. Otherwise, we're just concentrating on individual events like this, and the driving down a road and the hippies. And we don't really get an overall story. But if you want to just chill out with a film set in Hollywood and everything looks beautiful, I think this movie is great. I think it may improve over time when we start to find out other hidden secrets and little tidbits that Tarantino does seem to put in his movies. I think that may be a factor in appreciating this film more. And I know a lot of people like that about it, but I just wanted a little bit more story, or maybe even the set pieces a little bit more interesting than they are here. I've hung around studios myself in various roles, so I know what the on-set atmosphere is and what people talk about. And the conversations are genuinely what happened in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And it is very boring. So maybe that factored in my opinion. But again, I just wanted to see more story. but I can appreciate a little bit of downtime to let things play out, even though there's no connection between what you're watching now in relation to the overall story. So what should we give this movie? It's definitely above average. I don't mind that it's just a collection of individual moments leading to the murders at the end. I'll give it 3.5. I think that's fair for what we got here. We got a love letter from Tarantino to this time period, 1969. We got a good set of visual murders at the end. Lots of visuals throughout the film. Lots of very fun incidents. And that's what this movie is. It's just Hollywood. I wouldn't be in a hurry to rewatch this movie, even though I did rewatch it last night. A lot of time has passed since 2019 when I first saw it, and I had the same opinion last night. It's good, but I just wanted more, and I didn't really see more on the second viewing that I missed on the first. Yeah, it's just one of those things. I prefer Tarantino's other movies, and I'll probably review those going forward on the channel. So thank you everyone for listening to me talk about this movie, and I'll leave you with just a little bit about myself. I'm a completely unbiased reviewer. I don't even get free tickets to go to screenings, and I'm not influenced by any little treats or presents or kisses on the cheeks from the studios. I like to keep my opinions all my own. So thanks again guys. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I hope you join me again for another review soon. Take care.